Hi, and welcome back to another edition of Jammin' Man as we go yet through the Bible once again. Welcome back. As for me, this is only a few moments later after reading chapter 5. We are currently in chapter 6. I'm going to read a little introduction to Michal, and, um, and if you recall, Michal is one of David's wives, one of his first wives. So let's go ahead and get right into it. And I'm just going to read this introduction. I'm not going to read chapter 6 in this particular video. But this is what it says about Michal. Again, I don't know if I'm really pronouncing it correctly, but there it is. All right. It says, sometimes love is not enough, especially if that love is little more than the strong emotional attraction that grows between a hero and an admirer. To Michal, Saul's daughter, the courageous young David. Okay, I was in my mind I was misreading that, but now I got on. I'm gonna start that part over. So to Michal, Saul's daughter, the courageous young David must have seemed like a dream come true. Her feelings about this hero gradually became obvious to others, and eventually her father heard about her love for David. He saw this as an opportunity to get rid of his rival for the people's loyalty. Remember, King Saul was all about, you know, looking good for the people and, getting their approval, right? Instead of getting God's approval. We all need to get God's approval, not man's approval, because God's approval is what really counts. He promised Michal's hand in marriage in exchange for David's success in the impossible task of killing 100 Philistines. But David was victorious, and so Saul lost a daughter and saw his rival become even more popular with the people. Michal's love for David did not have time to be tested by the Israelites of marriage. Instead, she became involved in saving David's life. Her quick thinking helped him escape, but it cost her Saul's anger and her separation from David. Her father gave her to another man, Palti, but David eventually took her back. Unlike her brother Jonathan, Michal did not have the kind of deep relationship with God that would have helped her through the difficulties in her life. Instead, she became bitter. She could not share David's joyful worship of God, so she hated it. As a result, she never bore David any children. Beyond feeling sorry for her, we need to see Michal as a person mirroring our own tendencies. How quickly and easily we become bitter with life's unexpected turns. I can relate to that. But bitterness cannot remove or change the bad things that have happened. In more ways than one, I can relate to that. Often, bitterness only makes a bad situation worse. On the other hand, a willingness to respond to God gives him the opportunity to bring good out of the difficult situations. That willingness has two parts: asking God for his guidance, which David clearly has been doing, and looking for that guidance in his word. Now, these are strengths and accomplishments in Michal's life. Loved David and became his first wife. Saved David's life. Could think and act quickly when it was needed. And of course, here are the weaknesses and mistakes in Michal's life. First, she lied under pressure. Second, allowed herself to become bitter over her circumstances. And third, In her unhappiness, she hated David for loving God. I hope that's not true in your life. I hope that um, if you know someone who loves God, that you will not become bitter toward them, that you will not hate them. Again, what is the first and greatest commandment? To love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. And the second one is like it, to love your neighbor as yourself. We are to love others just as God loves them. So, if you're unhappy about with someone, the best way to reach that person is to love them. Lessons from her life. We are not as responsible for what happens to us as we are for how we respond to our circumstances. Wow, okay, let's read that again. We are not as responsible for what happens to us as we are for how we respond to our circumstances. If something bad happens to us, we aren't responsible for it, but how we respond to it, we are responsible for. Wow. And the second, disobedience to God almost always harms us as well as others. So our disobedience to God harms us ourselves and others around us. Not a good place to be in. Vital statistics, occupations, daughter of one king, Saul, and wife to another, David. Relatives, parents, Saul and there's that name again I can't pronounce, Ahinoam. Brothers, Abinadab, Jonathan, Malchishua. Sister, Merib. Husbands, David and Palti. And the key verses can be found in 2 Samuel chapter 6, verse 16, which we will be reading in the next video, which says, Now, as the ark and the Lord came into the city of David, Michal, Saul's daughter, looked through a window and saw King David leaping and whirling before the Lord, and she despised him in her heart. That is the introduction to Michal's life. And that's it. Hope you enjoyed the introduction. Hey, I'll see you in the next video when we read chapter 6. Until then, you guys take care. God bless you. Jam Man signing off. Peace.